that he did like skinny in real life.
I mean, it's like down audio into the gas.
Right, come on, dude. We gotta play this battery running out, you know.
See that?
Side to vibe.
Vibe side. Here is cool.
Hello, everybody. For people out there, about to share right now.
Travis, will join? Hey!
Hello, everybody. People out there.
All right, good. That lets me know the audio is good. I ain't got no. Oh, McDonald's working with me today. Let me see if I could share it myself. All right, one entrepreneur. Gail, you got data today, or you Wi-Fi in it out as usual? All two? What? The video was right there. I still going to click something else. I could have shared it from right there.
Why you did that, buddy?
I don't know. Habit, you know, when you become a creature of habit.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah, you see? All right, right shot. Right shot. Share.
You didn't post in the group page.
No. You want to do that? Do that, man.
We're trying to find where it is. I gone to the group to find the link.
No, it on the page. I suppose to the page, you know, not the group. He's go live from the page, not the group. We are leave. I got to figure out that Instagram live vibe. I never use it.
To me, that's more like solo live stuff, babe.
Huh? What?
To me, that Instagram live is like solo live.
What, for just people who just want?
Well, yeah, just like live, but like it happening like one-on-one type of thing, because it's just so. It's different from Facebook Live where it would pop up on your feed as you scroll in and you willing to stop, versus Instagram where you just like looking at different people's profiles and then stories.
I just get notifications.
No, you still
people.
get the notifications, but
Yeah.
I mean it's just a different mode of operation. Like I operate differently on Instagram than I do on Facebook, if that makes sense.
Well, I guess.
Yeah. Like I don't go on Instagram to watch live.
The same content that I see
Right.
on Instagram, on Facebook, and then also it's like a different vibe, you know. Like,
Yeah.
even
It's just
on
two different
Instagram
parties.
Stories, I don't watch people's Instagram
No.
stories for some reason, especially if I don't know you. But I'll watch a story on Snapchat. It just feels.
See, that's different for me because I don't use Snapchat like that. I'll go on Instagram and like I'll go to people who I don't know like that stories like artists and stuff like that versus watching individual stories because they ain't really doing nothing on those stories. And like brands do right. Exactly. They just do like this.
They've been doing
like,
that,
hi
eh?
y'all and all that stuff. But see now what it's like different with Snapchat. You might have a girl doing duck face or whatever like that, but live it's just like she doing that all the time, and you could turn on and off that station. So it's like. But I like what brands do. Like Nike has good stories. A couple other brands do and very creative.
They have actual stories.
They have actual stories.
Okay,
like
makes
if
sense.
Ronaldinho come to visit Nike or whatever like that, they have actual stories, which is pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me a test on your mic, Gail. Let's make sure
Test
you are
1,
good.
2, 3.
All right, good.
Yay.
All right, welcome back to the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur Shift the Culture podcast. This is an unusual day and time. We on early today because
No.
What?
We just on early today. We just
What? What? Listen, these folks are quite busy, and we had to, Travis is a busy man, so this is the time we had to slide him in today. We
see
Travis'
that's what I
feelings
do,
was
you used to
hurt.
run out.
Travis' feelings was hurt when we do all them shows without him. So now we are warping our time to accommodate his very busy schedule.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the shade room.
Well, like that, you know how this thing goes.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing different.
No.
Well, welcome, folks. Today we're going to be discussing something I think that's very important because I don't think a lot of people exercise in their everyday lives. I think it's either heavy on one side or the other,
Right.
and then it makes them not be very productive because of that, which is balancing your expectations versus reality. Now, you need both. To be successful, you have to have both. But I think the balance of each of those is very important. So,
And when you say both, you mean expectation
and reality of the situation that you're currently
be
in.
able to be
Right.
realistic.
And how things actually operate.
Right.
Because I think people lose sense of that. And I think Travis, we just, as you know, we decide these topics right on the
Right
on the fly. So Travis just made a comment that it's funny. People are funny because of their. You say it better than me. Let me not try and say. Say what you said when you came in.
It basically went on the premise that people are funny in terms of what they expect.
Right.
They need you to do one thing, and then their expectation of that thing is so grandiose. And then when you don't do it, it's like, oh, why didn't that happen? Or it's like, well, I could understand why they probably tripped up on that because we didn't have a communication of expectations. I mean, communication and expectation goes hand in hand, and I feel like people have expectations and demand a lot with people, but don't really feel like, okay, how is this good for this person or stuff like that. It's just weird, and people do that all the time. And I think issue is lack of communication, or really saying, okay, this is what's going to happen, and this is what's going to get done. So no one's feeling get hurt and no corn get mashed, essentially. Yeah, that's
so. And I think in your case, it was someone expecting a particular level of service.
Yeah, so
but only
this particular case was somebody wanting to get started on a project and want to do these things. It's like, yeah, man, I just need this. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Okay, solid. Well, I'll talk to you about X, Y, and Z. It's going to take a lot of time, and, probably the time is money and all that stuff. And they'd be like, okay, boom. But then when you hit them with that thing, it'd be like, oh, I didn't expect, what, man, X, Y, and they get confused. And it's like,
right.
and that common, that happens more times than not. But it's just surprising that no matter what level you play at, there always could be a miscommunication or misexpectations, no matter if you're the richest person or the, stuff like that. People just have different agendas and different, reasons for doing things.
Yeah. Interesting.
I was thinking about expectation in terms of time.
Okay.
Because I know, especially in the design world, or if you have projects done, or even with you, I'm sure you've had that experience before where people are expecting things in like yesterday.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Even though they just order it.
They just
but they want it like now.
They need it now. They need it right away.
Right.
I know it's in design, you have projects taking X amount of time, and then it's just like, oh, I thought that this was going to be almost instant,
right?
And it's not.
And
you
they
have to
no, what's it?
You have to put things in place and barriers in place to kind of protect yourself from that as well. In terms of people's expectations for you and for your work and what you're going to do, especially if there are people tuning in who are getting into business, it'll be good for you to set these boundaries early. So that you don't have some very frustrating experiences. I don't know if y'all have any stories where it was like the client expectation did not meet reality and may, I don't know, cause a problem.
Yeah, a couple of things with that, and kind of different remedies. Where I went through that is that when you first get started, especially, you'd be like, you just want to do work. Like, you just want to take on projects.
Yeah.
Every project sounds exciting. It'd be like,
give me that, give me that,
oh
give
my
me that,
goodness,
give me
I'm
that,
so
give me that.
pumped to do it.
Yeah.
And then you just blow past all the restrictions and limitations you need to put on the project.
Yes.
Or like the important questions that you need to ask. Like, how long is this project going to take? Does this coincide with anything? Like, those are very important questions that you need to have on the get-go to kind of figure out, okay, where's your head at? Where's my head at, first and foremost? Because it may not always match. Especially when it comes to clients, it's like I feel like it's two important questions. Like, you either... like, what's their timeline like and what's their budget like? It kind of puts you in a place for your expectations.
So that's that graph, right?
Yeah. You don't want a situation where they have all the money in the world to do whatever you want to do, but they want this yesterday. And you don't want something like, yeah, take your time, but I only have this amount of money.
Yeah.
So, I feel like the sweet spot is kind of in the middle there to kind of have a balanced relationship. And communication has always been a big key. So, say you'll get started on the job and do your part, but then you don't frequently communicate with the team to see either A, what changes, what needs to be done, all that. If you just go away and do what you got to do and don't have constant communication, then you'll never always meet, because that time apart kind of separates a lot of different things in terms of what direction you think it should go, and then it could overwhelm both parties. So communication is probably the biggest remedy to a lot of those things.
Yeah, to managing expectations and time.
Well, I was thinking more so when it comes to expectation versus reality is when you speak to people, especially entrepreneurs,
Oh yeah, for sure. And we'll get to that.
they have certain
Yeah.
expectations,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Which is fine. You know, it's
Yeah.
good to be ambitious. It's good to have certain, goals or expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't seem to factor in the reality of the situation that they're in
Yes.
or the current resources that they have available to them. So they would put like ridiculous timelines on certain tasks, which realistically would take a whole lot longer to do. So I was thinking more so of people's expectations that they have for themselves or their businesses, and the timeline or whatever it is, it's skewed and they don't factor in reality enough.
Yeah. Mhm.
So the path to get there
Yeah.
is like you really
Very
serious with
painful.
these
Biggest-
with these expectations.
So, what about you first starting out?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you had an incident where the expectation of something as you were starting out didn't match the reality of it, which you found out maybe very quickly.
Well, I think early on I had a heavy dose of reality. I took reality into account more so early on because starting out it was just okay. I just needed to make this amount to make sure I could cover these expenses, so I could pay these bills, have a little money on the side. So it wasn't no astronomical number. I need to do this amount of sales or whatever. It was let me set a quote unquote realistic. I don't like to use that term. I don't like to hear people use it because it's realistic is whatever you could.
Perceive
Whatever
it
you,
to be.
yeah, exactly, and whatever you dedicate to making a reality is going to become your reality. But I had a lower threshold to say, like when it comes to money wise, early on, because it was just initially I just wanted to,
You just wanted to survive, and then you saw what it could be, and then you kind of had to up your vision in terms of like
it grew. Expectations grew over time.
This could be big.
Exactly.
This could be really, really big. But and that's the key thing. I think that's the healthiest way to go about it, because of the flip side with a lot of entrepreneurs is that they feel like they have a great idea and everybody
And
will
it's gonna
buy this
make
and this
money.
will be amazing.
Yeah.
And they just go out there and push it, and they struggle and figure out, why isn't this taking off as I thought it was? Why is it taking longer than expected? One of the earliest methods in terms of bringing your reality down to expectation is like what we do all the time in terms of market validation. So like if you have an idea, write a 10 question questionnaire to try to get your audience, or who would be your audience, a feel what they would actually pay for something, if they would actually use your product, because also to manage your expectations for your business, you also need to build your business and your market with it. And if you don't do that at the same time, then you could create a big project and it could fall on deaf ears. And I think that's where a lot of people get mixed up in the expectation, because they feel like, oh, it's so amazing though. Why doesn't people want an 8-legged iPhone charger? I just don't understand.
and it could be
Yeah.
discouraging.
Yeah, and it could be discouraging
Very
to them.
discouraging.
And they're just getting the wrong message of why that is discouraging. And be like, well, you just should have spent a little bit more time actually talking to people, actually talking to users who wants to use your project, and then get from there. So
SurveyMonkey is, I think, the easiest one that
Shout
we
out.
know to use.
Yeah.
So
Google
if
Forms,
you-
SurveyMonkey.
Google Forms, yeah. If you have an idea, or you're thinking about starting a business, that might be a good place to start in terms of getting market research and data before you actually invest all of your time and money, and you expect this thing to be successful. But maybe what you have in mind, you will be surprised how it shifts.
Right, and you might
according
pivot
to
or you might add
people's
something to it.
response. Yeah, so that's a good thing to do as well in terms of managing your expectation prior to starting the business.
And you have to be careful too with the expectation. You don't want to have super duper low expectations either. So it's a matter of balancing your expectations as well.
you don't want to
Like-
be Mr. Pessimistic and be like, oh, I just need to do, like, you don't want to limit your dreams.
Right, because
just
a lot
to
of-
operate, like
right.
just to operate. Yeah.
Because there's that saying like the worst thing is not setting a high goal and failing, is setting low goals and succeeding, or something to that
And
extent.
getting comfortable in
Nice.
it,
Right,
essentially.
and that is very true. And I caught myself like at times like, well, why I set these low expectations early on when I see I doing this. But what you have to realize is that everything is in time.
Yeah.
Right.
So
As patience is a big thing. You
right.
do
So
this thing.
my expectations now probably would not have been as feasible 2-3 years ago. You understand? Given the circumstances that I would have been in then as opposed to now.
Right.
So it's a matter of being self-aware, knowing
Yeah,
the
and
situation you're in.
that's the key for sure. That's a big thing.
No, I was gonna say, when I was first looking at starting TCG, I had expectations like, all right, I'm gonna do this. Let me start this business up. Gonna have X clients. I think I had maybe 1 or 2 at the time. So this is gonna continue, and then gonna build and grow. And then the actual taking the plunge part, especially with not being as, I guess, secure or confident about the business or about what it is that you're actually doing, and becoming an entrepreneur affects both your reality and your success.
Yeah, yeah.
So you kind
They
of
can
have
work
to
hand in hand, or what you think
build
is
that,
success.
Yeah, like you say, what you think will be success for you. So also your expectation may have a lot to do with how confident you are within yourself and your ability to determine what your actual SMART goals are, or things that you would be able to attain in real life, versus your expectation. Because I call it that honeymoon period, that 3-month, that 90-day period where you feel like, yeah, gung ho, this is gonna happen, this is what it is, and then after that it's like, phew,
Yeah.
like a nosedive, and you have to be prepared for that nosedive,
Yes.
because that is going to come your way.
At least in some
Yeah,
way, shape, or form.
I wouldn't say guaranteed to come, but you should at least prepare just in case it does.
Well, I mean, you've spoken about your perceived bad days or low seasons before, and I think that's really what I'm talking about in terms of a
Yeah.
nosedive. Where
Not as a dive
You
and
may
thing,
not
but
have,
like
of
that.
course, and you can listen to one of our old podcasts,
Shameless
as
plug.
Greg shows you, how
Shameless
you can
plug.
counteract those sort of things.
Yeah.
But you should expect to have not as good day as maybe today. I think
I wouldn't say
that'll keep a
expect. I'd say
healthy
you should be
balance.
prepared for it,
Okay, prepared.
as opposed to expecting it. You know what I mean? I think you should be prepared that this is a reality, that this is possible, so that you wouldn't be shocked or surprised or
Be
get so
aware.
discouraged.
Be aware of always be aware of what you still have to do. That's either in the growth stage as well as the things that you need to get up on. And that's the, like I said, awareness is the key part of it. Always being like in an area to look at stuff at a high level view, and at the same time, like you say, balancing. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself in terms
Right,
of
right.
because this is stuff like this where the entrepreneur beats himself up the most, because you're always, as you have to build your reality enough to the point where you want to do it, but it has to be grounded in some reality of happening now.
Yeah.
You have to have the patience to say, like, okay, if this doesn't happen today, at least I'm lining up and moving the needle enough where it could happen. And then through that period of time is self-doubt as well. You are the biggest person who's going to be your biggest enemy and be like, oh, do I need to do this? Is this still working? It isn't happening as fast as I wanted to, but I feel like keeping your expectations in check, but still realizing again your SMART goals and where you need to be. And once you get confident that you're moving the needle versus actually getting there, I think that's where a lot of that progression could come from.
Yeah, I think you need to get over yourself as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like ASAP. And as you starting to become an entrepreneur and you're looking into getting into business, get over yourself.
I tell you almost have to put
Constant battle
especially
ego,
emotions.
yeah.
You got to put your emotions in your back pocket, and sometimes you have
Hard
to forget
skin.
you have them. You almost have to become a psychopath to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Like you have to be void of emotions in certain situations because they can put you in bad positions. And
Yeah.
I think the key that you said, the key is patience. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of the imbalance that we see these days, is that people aren't patient. And I think social media has it plays a great
Affects.
role in that, because they see
It's instant.
They see all the luxury.
they see
and
the
lifestyle
fake
and all that
life,
stuff right now,
because
yeah.
everybody on Instagram and Facebook successful on social media, Snapchat. Everybody's showing you the glamorous, glorious side of their life, right? Even if it isn't real, if they on a yacht that someone else renting, they showing you themselves on the yacht. So they showing you this glamorous life, and people are actually buying into it and thinking that this is what they have,
And
they want that now. So it's this instant gratification
Right.
that takes away the patience needed to make it through, especially when things don't go according to your expectations, because it's going to be a long time in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And 10th Year Seniors just had a podcast on like the something economy, where the attention economy, and talking about the same thing in terms of how people are on social media and they're projecting this life that is that is amazing from, and the niche of the entrepreneur side is like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing these things, I'm going these places, but is that really rooted in what you need to do? Like, yeah, you could go on a yacht. It may not be yours, but do you think it's like, are you operating or communicating to people that it is yours? And that's where you could communicate a reality versus expectation as well. And it puts a lot of pressure on the entrepreneur as well, is that if you do not actually build a foundation of what you're trying to do so you can get those things, and you're always posting about it, someone's going to gut check you sooner or later, or you're going to ask yourself, am I doing actually what I'm doing to keep up with this? And if that doesn't happen, that could come down crashing pretty fast.
Yep,
And,
definitely.
yeah.
Often does come down crashing fast.
And y'all have any, like, maybe let's do like a list of expectations that entrepreneurs, people who want to get into business, might have.
I'm going to be making a lot of money right away.
I think
It's
that's
like off
number
the
one.
bat. Yeah.
That's number one.
I'm going to have a lot of customers.
Yeah.
Right
People
away.
are going to be
People are going to be knocking down my
Knocking
door
on
to
the
get
door.
this.
Yeah.
Trying to get my product or service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a good leader. That's that's a reality. Some
I'm
people
a good
feel
boss.
like I'm a good boss.
Yeah.
But
You
when
know,
you're actually
I'm
the
a
boss
good
that's
manager.
shouting or doing
Yeah.
stuff like that, is that
You can't manage
you-
yourself sometimes.
can't manage myself. Oh, I could do this. I don't have enough on my plate.
I
I
think
can
one
do
is-
everything.
I can do everything.
I can do the product. I can do booking. I can do marketing. I can do
Right.
accounting. I can do.
I'm a
the
one-man
full
ninja.
spectrum, one
One-
man
even though
band.
ninja-
An
Just come as one
expectation
right?
people tend to have is they tend to feel as though that things are going to happen in succession in a certain way. Like things are going to happen the way they plan it out.
Right.
Like it's not going to be these obstacles or certain things that throw you off or things that you aren't expecting. They think that it's going to happen. Okay, I'm going to make my plan and it's going to work out just this way. And then at the end, I'm going to get this goal.
Yeah,
So
no.
I think that's a great expectation
Oh,
that people
I know,
often have, is that they set out, because I write this business plan and because I say that this how it can
Put it in
happen.
the grass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just because I say this how it can work out.
No.
I think that's one of the great expectations as well people have, that they get a rude awakening.
Speaking it and not doing the work.
Right, and it's
Yeah.
like me. I tell people all the time, every time. Like I have a plan. I plan out how my day is gonna go. I could guarantee you, almost 95% of the time, it don't happen that way.
Right.
It doesn't happen that way.
And that's a key point too, because just even like on that same vein, in terms of like, okay, you write a business plan to do whatever you know what your 1 year, 2 year, 5 year plan is. But it has to be rooted in things you could actually execute first and foremost. Like you could write down the things that you need to do, but are you actually doing them? And if you're not, then you need to just go back and check the list and actually do those things. And at the same time, it's what's the next thing I wanted to say? It's you just have to have that form of improvisation, because, like you say, you go throughout your day.
Yes.
And you know what you have to do today, but life happens, and they kind of
Yep.
and
You
they
just have to
insert chunks
adapt,
and things
yeah.
into that. And what that does is two things: is that one, you don't get to accomplish the things that you do on time, like you say you're going to do on a particular time, which messes up the business side of things. But at the same token, you get frustrated because you didn't
Yes.
want to do what you thought you were going to do, and then that gets discouraging because that connects to the bigger goal and dream for you need to do. So what I would say to entrepreneurs is really like everything is a decision, and your decisions and your actions have to align with your overall goals, or at least the goals that you set for yourself temporarily. Like if you know you want to get here, and like say if you know you got to go to the gym, right? But you have dinner at the same around the same time, and if you don't make it to the gym, you're just gonna get frustrated because you went to that dinner, and then you beat yourself up over time because it's still a goal of yours and you're still hanging on to that. That's your kind of your new reality. But if you don't do the actions that kind of go to that, then you get frustrated over time, and then you completely not do it, and that breaks like your whole habit.
I have one.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna be able to sleep.
Oh, sleep. Oh, you're gonna get 8 hours of sleep.
I'll
Nah,
get 8 hours of sleep
no.
per night as an
No.
entrepreneur.
I think that's an
No.
expectation for a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially
You are completely, I mean, I know I was completely unprepared for the fact that sometimes, or more often than not, you're going to need to use the time that you would usually be doing some other slushery in order to make your business successful.
Right.
It is what it is. I mean, jeez. Time, I mean, in terms of sleep, What's going on?
and I-
Surveil it.
And I think that's a big thing for a lot of entrepreneurs that just take the leap. They feel like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur now. I have the freest time in the world. I could do
Yeah.
everything. But what that
Right,
but,
yeah.
but what
Yeah.
what
The
actually
perception of
means
that as
is
well.
the
Yes,
perception
yes,
of that.
yes.
Right.
But the biggest thing is that doesn't mean you have free time per se. You just
Right.
have to manage your time
Well, what-
responsibly in
Because
order
you're
to
not
act. I think.
you're no longer limited to the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Right.
You're
Right?
not. You're
So
not.
business
yeah.
will happen literally at any point during that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whereas you leave work and you turn that off, maybe some people take work home, but let's say you turn that off at 5 o'clock, you clock out and you go home. That's it for whatever job you're at. But when you're working on your own thing, there is no clock
Everything
out.
falls-
There's no
clock out.
Everything fall and rise
Yeah,
on you.
Like Mark
Yeah.
Cuban says all the time, business is 24/7,
Mm-hmm.
every day of the week. There's no clock out, like you said. There's no cutoff time.
Yeah.
So, well, that's interesting. What I do relate to is people think that, like you said, if you're an entrepreneur, oh, I can have this. I am
have
free. I have
free
time. I can do what I
Yeah.
want.
No.
No, babe.
Well, like, no, sir.
That's the actual opposite for
That's
the
what-
next 5
yeah,
to
for
10
real,
years.
though, for real.
Yeah, that's
And
actual
think
You
opposite.
actually
got time
have
to
you
do
actually have
things, and
less
then
time.
I feel like my day is going 10 times faster
Yes.
Yeah.
than if I'm
Yeah,
on
Yes.
9 to 5.
Time speeds. The
And I
freak
don't
up.
understand it because I'm like, oh, okay, I'll have time to do this and this, like you said.
Because you're so
And
engaged.
then-
Yeah, and you
You're
actually
working-
enjoy what not your
Right.
work. Your work, you're always moving, but you actually enjoy what
Yes.
you're doing as well.
And you're choosing to do it.
and
I
you're
think that's the
choosing to do
big
it.
difference is
Yeah.
that you are actually choosing to use this time in this way.
Right.
As an entrepreneur, you are choosing to dedicate this time into furthering your business.
Right.
Whereas on a
Yeah.
job, you're like, oh, let me try to put in this
right,
couple
and
of hours.
that's the longest.
Right.
Right, you feel like that goes forever.
Right.
Forever.
But I want to touch on something that you mentioned
Travis?
briefly is that like if you have a certain personality type, if you're someone that is discouraged easily and that like if you are all about the process going the way you line it up, but the entrepreneurship
anticipated
probably
success.
ain't for you.
Yeah, but I mean,
and if
I
you
would
could get
say-
discouraged, like if you like, okay, I was supposed to be here at this time and I supposed to take this road and take this exact course, and if something throws you off, you get discouraged. Look, your entrepreneurship ain't for you.
Cookie
You're
cutter
gonna-
expectation.
It's like,
you're
yeah.
gonna have to take it on the chin and make the adjustment on the fly, and as soon as possible, spend the least amount of time moping or being disappointed that it didn't. go the
Anything
way
that
you
isn't
wanted it to.
productive, you shouldn't be spending your time on if it's all on you. Anything. Moping is an unproductive thing,
Yes,
especially if you
and there's no benefit to moping.
Yeah.
None whatsoever.
And I think with us too, and call it what you will, like I said, being an entrepreneur, especially when you get to a certain point, is that you somewhat operate on faith, or you operate on, in a sense, you operate where you have enough confidence that
It's
you
faith.
know that you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to take it along a longer way, like I said, the book that I read and reread, The Alchemist, is a part of the book towards the end where homeboy he was going through the desert just to find this treasure, and it was a long trip. And like at certain points, he started looking back and be like, "But this probably don't make no sense." But then, like, you know what I mean, like, right? But then you look back and you just see like all that desert. You have to go back.
Yeah.
That ain't in the direction where you need to go.
Right.
But you just have enough faith, and he eventually got to the end. That's kind of like what we're doing. And I think the hardships and challenges that you go through help you root yourself into reality. Because if everything goes smooth and dandy, you feel like, everything's gonna be okay. But like when it's a long road, when you get those bumps and you realize, okay, this is a problem that I actually have to solve. Solving those give you the confidence to have enough faith to keep going in order for what
The
you get. at the
confidence,
end.
the
Yeah.
experience, the everything. Like that process builds the character so that you could, like, let's say, for example, you see some people, like they were successful. I can't remember, there's a person's name. He was very successful. Millionaire, multi-millionaire. Somehow he failed and crashed and lost all his money. But in his resurgence, he ended up being more successful than he was the first time. And that's because he went through that process and
Right.
learned how to make money and how to do things the first time.
Right.
So even if he lost everything,
Right.
you know how to get it back.
And that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing about that too, is that like even if you have have you been an entrepreneur and you lost a business, what you can't people feel like they zero out, but they gain so much more from that because of the things that they've learned or what they
Yes.
should have learned.
Yeah.
Where they could bounce back.
The process really really forces, not even encourages, it forces you to become more aware of yourself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
more aware of maybe your limits, what you can do very well, what you may not be able to do very well, how to bounce back from failure. You start to learn how to pick yourself up and continue on without having to cry on anybody's shoulder or have some assistance. How to accept rejection, because in anything you're going to be rejected or people are going to tell you no, and you really got to go into it thinking they can either say yes or no, and at the end of the day, if they say yes, you move on, and if they say no, you still got to move on.
Keep
You
it
gotta
moving.
move on.
So you just I feel like, I think there's who is it, T.I. or somebody will say, if you fail, right,
Right.
and be able to come back, that's the real hustler, right? So that's when you're really in this thing. As an entrepreneur, you're going to fail. That's inevitable. You're going to fail at something at some point, right? But then your ability to come back from that and your ability to produce something again. As a hustler, your business, let's say the cookie caterer, may not be the thing that you want to do in the next 2 years, and you start something else. That's when you're really an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
because you're not caught up in this. And a lot of entrepreneurs say, "This is my baby. This is my
You gotta
dog.
learn. You
Let go.
can't.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
you gotta
little
learn when to let go.
business.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, it's failing. Everything burning around me. But Lord, that's my
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
Like,
You gotta get
no.
out the house.
You,
You gotta
gotta
get out the
be
house.
fluid with every. You learn to be extremely fluid with everything
And
that
open to
comes and
change.
goes.
And open to change.
Within your life, as an entrepreneur, especially with your business, I see people holding on to this idea and this business for their life,
Now, sometimes,
and it's not.
sometimes that's good
But-
because it takes certain things a lot longer
To learn.
happen.
to manifest itself than others. So while that may not be the case in every case, but there are some cases where you just need to let go of that thing. If it's a case where you just ain't good at this thing, you're not the best at what it is you holding on to,
Right.
just
But
let it
that's
go.
No, it's not
but that's
successful.
That's
But if you're not the best, chances are you won't be successful. Now, I can't say that that's the case for music or rap or anything, but in most cases, you don't have to be the
This man can't
best
stop
to
the
be
shit.
successful.
no,
right?
But then, okay, so I want to touch on that music thing too, because
No, leave that alone. We're talking about expectations.
No, okay, but the thing about expectations again, and I think that's where a lot of self-awareness or awareness is birthed, because
That's what it's about.
especially when you're on your own and things start to go down and not go the way you're doing it, it's all on you, and people can't see what you see. So it's hard to communicate that to other people. So no better place to look at is within yourself and ask yourself the hard questions. And like, what am I really doing? And then when you tie that to mapping out what you've always been doing, where your skills lie, where opportunity may be, and you answer those questions for yourself, that's how you could kind of get back up and know the direction that you need to go. And I think it's those conversations with yourself, even though that might sound a little bit crazy, you gotta
Talking to
have.
yourself all day. You're an entrepreneur if you ain't talking to yourself.
Yeah, you got to.
But I mean, because that's the only person you could really talk to in a sense, and I mean not physically like go somewhere and talk to yourself
No, go
on a
somewhere
bar.
and talk to yourself.
If you have to take notes, journals, like engage with yourself and your thoughts to feel like, is this where I really need to be? Is this really what I need to do? And it's not working. How to make it work? It's always a constant calculation on this. Like I said, there is no straight road to success. There's a lot of doors with passcodes that every time you stop, you got to figure out what the passcode is, and then get to the next thing, open up the next door, get to the next thing. You might be stuck in a room for a while, but you just got to keep it moving.
Yeah, it's amazing. You gotta figure it out. Before we wrap up, I just want, we got a couple of comments. Shout out to Alan Pacino Wallace, who's tuned in.
Hi, Alan.
And Lakeith Roy, they were commenting.
Hi,
I guess
Keith
Alan said money. I guess that was one we
Yeah,
asked
no,
about
expectation,
expectations.
yeah.
Money and Gail. I mean not Gail. Keitra said preach Gail.
Yes,
And say we dropping low on gems today.
We drop gems every time, sweet girl.
Cool. So shout out to all y'all, Alan, Keitra, and whoever else is tuned in and watching. But to wrap up, I remember there was a meme, and it was two sides. It was your expectations when it comes to
versus
success,
reality.
and it was the stick man, and they had a straight line,
Yes.
and then the flagpole,
Right.
finish line, and that was the expectation, and then reality was this chaotic, all kind of jagged cliffs, and all the stuff.
All of the curly lines, and all
Drops,
some of it,
yeah.
There couldn't be a more truer meme
than
that has ever been posted, because that's exactly how it is. You're gonna expect life to be linear and things just work in this particular way, but that's not how it's gonna work out. And all we're saying is just prepare yourself for when they don't go according to how you plan or how you foresaw it going.
Yeah.
Just be prepared to make the necessary adjustments
Yeah.
and not
And
sit
have
around.
confidence in your own abilities.
Yes,
I
have
would
confidence in
say-
yourself that you can get past these things even though you didn't plan for them necessarily. That
And
they
then
happen.
You should put a heavy emphasis on learning yourself.
Yes.
And also learning your craft and doing better in whatever it is that you have decided to
Don't
do.
lie to yourself, babe.
No.
Do
No.
not lie to yourself.
Don't
Don't,
lie to
say you
yourself.
could do something when you don't
can't do
know
it.
how to do it or have
Right.
no intention
Just
of
learn
learning
how to do it.
Right.
Just learn it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, Travis got to go make some more money.
Yeah,
so
you see?
we can wrap this episode up. Thank you, people, for tuning in. This has been a great show as usual. I appreciate you guys for making this
It was
time.
it was a dope show.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And Travis, we always appreciate you for
Yes.
making time for us little
Oh
people.
my goodness.
We're going to wrap it up as we usually do. And this couldn't even be more true in this, especially on this topic.
Yes.
You understand? Because when things go off course or you ain't expecting things, it's easy to make excuses. It's easy to say, well, I didn't make it because I planned for this, but this thing happened. Or this person do this, so I can't go further. That's just making excuses, and it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere. So, as we always end with, losers make excuses, and winners make adjustments, especially when things don't go according to plan.
Knowledge.
Sir.
Thank you for tuning in, people. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
It's the after show. It's the after show. Oh yeah, it's the after show.
Toodaloo.
Yeah. That was a good show. That was a good show. I can dig it.